Hello all, this is Halloween, and if you love haunted places and cemeteries as much as I do, as well as some history, you may want to subscribe because I'm going to be taking you somewhere new every week. Today we're headed to Tampa, just across the puddle. We're going to visit the Rest Haven Cemetery. It's funny because when I was telling my husband, let's hit this Rest Haven Cemetery, he's like, what was it called again? West Craven Cemetery? No, Rest Haven. Let's go check it out. Enjoy. We're here at Brick House Tavern and Tap in Tampa. Gonna go in and get a bite to eat. We're here at Rest Haven Memorial Park in Tampa, Florida. Let's go in and see what we can see. This is a big cemetery established in 1927 and formerly called the Shady Grove Cemetery. It's kind of right in the middle of busy streets. And there's more of it across the street. So there's upwards of 13,000 burials here. And as you can see, it's really, I don't want to say congested, but you know what I mean. Like the memorials are very close together. And a lot of African American burials here. You can see that style of burial, as well as this is just a more predominantly African neighborhood. So you're going to just see a lot of that in here. I don't think it was ever an African American cemetery, like a segregated cemetery, but it's the location of where it is and everything. That's just how it worked out. There's a lot of this cemetery that's not shaded, and there's a part that kind of is. So fortunately for us, it's a little overcast and it's not too hot today. But let's check it out. Just about as far as you can see, a lot of these are the ledger with headstone style. So, and a lot of them are newer, but the older ones are kind of mixed in. So here we have a couple of old ones. This is a World War II veteran here, Richard Griffin. World War II, 1913 to 1978. And here's a 1942 to 1969 one. Walter L. Williams Jr. of Missouri. Senior Sergeant, U.S. Army, Vietnam. This always perplexes me. So sometimes in some of these cemeteries, there's some of the plots that are just right out in the sun. And I think it would be interesting to know, I mean, they're like 6 feet underground, right? Technically. A lot of them. I think for some it's less, even in Florida. But I wonder how cool it stays beneath, you know, that far under the ground. Like if it's really hot or if it's kind of cool, you know, because some of these are just right out in the sun with no shade at all. That's part of the reason why I don't want to be buried, you know. I don't want to be underground with the sun beating down on me. That just doesn't sound appealing to me. But you know what? To each their own. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these burials are newer. Here's a 2022. And then you have a whole area here that's mostly footstones and ledgers. Looks like somebody passed away recently there. It's going to be buried. But there's a whole nother side. There's 2 other sides. It's a big cemetery with a lot of burials. I'm going to jump over here to the other side. A lot of these memorials in the middle are really more recent, newer memorials. Like I said, with some older ones mixed in, but not a whole lot of unique memorials. There's a building here, like an office, where you can purchase headstones. I think a lot of these headstones were purchased from that building more recently, and they kind of all look similar, you know, nothing very unique. So I'm gonna jump over here and see what they got going on. Over here they have like a whole sea of burial vaults, and then they have some headstones over here too, but I don't think I've ever seen a burial vault like out of the ground, but there it is. I took a close-up shot of those, but that's what they look like, you know. And when they're in a vault like that, they're usually less than 6 feet underground. It's more like 4 feet, it can be, or whatever. And I was talking about them having like a drainage part where, you know, once the body starts breaking down, and make sure that none of the weather gets into there, and any liquid that may get in there is kind of siphoned out, you know. But that's kind of cool. I've never seen them out of ground before. Well, I've never seen them in ground either. They're just kind of sitting there waiting for purchase. I like to take pictures of names that are different, if you haven't noticed in some of my videos. But this is a Wilda Terrible Jules. So I wonder if that's a hyphenated name. Like, Terrible was the original name, but then she got married and became a Jules. I doubt that's her middle name. But she just passed in October 16th of 2006. There's a very talkative bird here today. Just has so much to say. There definitely is some more unique headstones over this way. So I'm going to take some pictures over here. This is one Miss Betty Smiley, who ironically is not smiling in her picture, but May 20th, 1950 through June 30th, 2021. That's really pretty though. I like the black headstone with the stairway to heaven. Very nice. I'm sure she's smiling in heaven. Well, what do you know? It's the Lion King right here in the cemetery. It's Mufasa. Oh. Well, he looks pretty good for being out in the weather. We just got some pictures over here. I don't know how they're staying in such good shape. being out in the weather like that. When I left a picture at my friend's gravesite and it was ruined in just a matter of days. Oh, here's those banners that we've seen before. I was wondering if I was going to run into some of these today. Manuel Dixon Sr. These people look too young. A lot of them look young. Real young. Yeah, 1970 to 2023. That's young. That's young to pass. And I always wonder about that. And here's some more. Here's like a few more over here. Look at these young people. He was just born in 2001 and passed already. Wow. And this young man over here, 1991 to 2023. That's young. Too young. They're doing a little yard work, or a little cemetery maintenance today. So as usual, I think every time I go to a cemetery, they're doing some kind of maintenance, which is a good thing. But, you know, if it's loud, I apologize. Another young man. November 7th, 1986 to November 28th, 2017. Loving son and father, Jimena Bond. It's a really nice, it's like a piece of tile with his image on it. That's really cool and different. Over here, they've dug out a spot and it looks like they've placed the vault inside. I don't know if you can see it from here. I just wanted to stop and look. It's kind of cool. Looks like it's about 6 feet. The vault is under there. Some of these looks like maybe they could only afford the vault. These things are expensive. It's more expensive to die than it is to live, I think. But to get the vault and then get the ledger and then have the headstone and all of this, I mean, it is not cheap at all. So some of these that, like the one with the lion on it, that's just marked with, you know, basically a couple of pictures and a couple of stuffed animals. They probably just purchased the vault, and because management allows them to do so in this particular cemetery, they were able to place mementos on top of their loved ones' resting place rather than buy an expensive headstone. But in some cemeteries you can't do that. You're required to get an approved headstone for the cemetery. There's a few of these small niches here in the cemetery. So there's one here. I think there's a couple, one or two in the center, and then on the other side as well for the cremains. But no big mausoleums or anything like that here. Now we've come over to the other side of the cemetery. Quite a few burials over here, as you can see. There's a little more shade on this side right now because the sun's kind of behind the clouds, and there's some pretty large trees, which I very much appreciate because it's a hot one out here. It's only May and it's just as hot as it would be in the middle of June or July. We're having a hot one this year in Florida. It started early. It's real muggy is the thing. It's a wet heat. Another young life here taken too soon. Chancey S. Harris, DJ Shotgun, September 27th, 1974 to October 22nd, 2020. Nice looking man too. Taken too soon. That's going to be the one thing about this cemetery that's not awesome, is that a lot of these people are very young. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This has happened before in other cemeteries where there was just a lot of young people, and it kind of weighs you down a little bit because, you know, they're too young. Way too young. How cute is this? With the little footprints and the teddy bear. Mackay M. Ford, May 21st, 2008 to February 9th, 2014. Just a young baby, you know. They called her Kai Kai. But I love the footprints and leading up to this beautiful headstone of a bear. It looks like it's got a little damage. Probably from maybe weather or something, I don't know. But it's still cute. I've never seen that before. I love what this one says, and it's so true, especially for people that are more unique individuals like me and probably a lot of you out there watching. But this is a really good thing to keep in mind. It says, be comfortable with people being uncomfortable with your difference. Unique is irritable to the mundane. And that's couldn't be more true. Couldn't be more true. I know a lot of my viewers out there probably feel that way. Like maybe we're a little bit weird and that's uncomfortable for some people, but never change who you are. Here's another one written in first person from this man who passed away, Jose Angel Adams. September 28th, 1973 to December 14th, 2020. Dear family and friends, it's me, Jose. Please don't be sad, but rejoice and be glad. My Father in heaven is showering me with love. Here is lots of kisses and hugs from me to you from above. Mom, I remember when my father picked me for you. I know my stay was short and your heart is heavy and blue. Just remember these words. I love you. I have made a lasting imprint in y'all heart. Just remember that we are not that far apart. I knew from the beginning y'all were fully committed. My wings and crown are perfectly fitted. If it seems like it has been a while, just remember my handsome smile. That's very cute. Seems like he was a funny guy. I'm gonna look this up. He has an NFL headstone, but he could have been an NFL player. Have you heard of Orenthal James Murdock? It says in loving memory. It's a picture of him there, and it says the Titans. Was that O.J. Simpson's name? That sounds so familiar. Yeah, the Tennessee Titans. I'm gonna look him up. He could be the celebrity of this whole cemetery. Because when I looked on Find a Grave, I couldn't find that any celebrities were buried here, but Orenthal James Murdock right here. NFL player. Wow, cool. Well, like I said, it's pretty warm here in Florida, and there's not a whole lot of shade in this cemetery, so keep that in mind when you're visiting. You might want to dress accordingly and definitely wear comfortable shoes, but also it's a little, you know, in some areas it's a little overgrown, so you might just want to wear a boot or something like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this cemetery. We're headed out of this one now, and I'll see you at the next one. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I hope you loved our stroll through the cemetery. I did look up Orenthal James Murdock, and he was a ball player for the Tennessee Titans. He was a wide receiver, and he hadn't actually played a physical game with the Titans as of yet, but he was signed, sans being drafted, something along those lines, and he was getting ready to go to like the training camp. He injured his Achilles tendon, so he was kind of recovering from that and having a hard time coming back from that injury. And in 2012, he was supposed to be somewhere with the team, and he hadn't shown up, so they kind of reported him as a no-show, that he was missing. And they found OJ that morning parked in front of Middleton High School, where he attended and graduated from, with evidently a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They found him around 8:30, and he was pronounced dead around 10:43 a.m. So really sad. He was only 25 years old when this happened. Like I said, a lot of the people in that cemetery were very young. I mean, 40s and younger, you know, like a lot of them. And that's the hardest part about cemeteries like that. Is just like, why is everybody so young? This don't make any sense. But with OJ Murdock, it was suicide, and that just made the whole finding him sadder, because I didn't know until I looked him up in the car on the way home, and yeah, it was a suicide. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes, and I don't know if perhaps maybe he was feeling like he could never be the player he wanted to be because this injury occurred. And sometimes when people put everything into one thing and they want it so badly, when it just doesn't work out, or it feels like it's not going to work out, it can be devastating. So I don't know if that was the reason why. I had never heard of him before, but I always love running into kind of like a celebrity, and he pretty much was. He was very good at playing football. He was getting ready to start with the Tennessee Titans, and unfortunately it just never happened. But anyway, that does it for today's episode. If you haven't already, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video. and I'll see you next time.